Okay, hi. So my POI preferences would be just you unmute yourself. I'm probably gonna take one from the opening, and my whip speaker is going to take one from the closing opposition. Okay. With that being said, I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. At this time of my life, I think I need to thank my family for forcing me to study in STEM majors in high school and varsity. I also want to thank the opening bench to argue on something we could all agree on. Under CG, we will agree that space exploration can give us another Earth. We agree that perhaps it will be accessible to everyone, but the space race will kill us all before this utopia happens. Under CG, we say fuck space exploration business model. We're happy to live in the world where space exploration is halted, a stance that OG is afraid to take, right? Under CG, we think in order for this debate to be judged, it should be judged in a long-term precedence, the future that they are envisioned, and the direction in which it's leading to. So the core principle of OO's case might be good, but CG will tell you why even if the best case scenario that OO runs, it does not matter, and why even worse, you won't reach the goal anyway. If not, you will make it worse, right? So here's what I'm going to bring. I'm going to bring on my first argument is that commercialization of space exploration kills people. All rebuttal will be integrated throughout. Why is this true? Because firstly, then I have three reasons of this, right? Firstly, because the narrative of space exploration shift other research and innovation from saving the Earth, right? Why is this true? Because you accentuate the narrative of making and creating another planet as opposed to just focusing on like repairing the ozone in itself, right? This will happen because you need to create a hype on your innovation to get investors, something grander, and to make an illusion that you do humanity good, right? This is important that irrespective of OO's claim that in the reality of space exploration in action is actually helps developing country, right? Why is this more important? Firstly, it's because you need to tell me why developing countries cannot do this on your counterfactual and why developing countries cannot do this by state conducted space exploration. But second, it does not deny the fact that this vision that this tycoon will bubbles out and the marketing and the advertising that they will talk about is about how we really need another Earth. This looks like Elon Musk talking about how we will have an energy deficit and how fear mongering the people that we require this another planet, and that's why this space exploration is so important, right? Elon Musk do not run on the basis and the idea of helping developing countries or like repairing the earth itself, because it does not appeal to the investors. This is very, very crucial because it shifts the narrative and the idea of society that what we do in order for us to save humanity is to literally create another planet, right? On the counterfactual, this would not happen, right? Because under our side, literally, the idea of space exploration is in order for you to find another planet is only happens once you privatize or once you commercialize this kind of space exploration to begin with. Under our side, if once we do not think that this will exist to begin with, it means that there's no incentive to people to create space exploration in order for them to find another planet, right? It means under our side, the incentive to create a space doing a scientific and research journal and everything will be centered around whether or not we can save the earth instead of like escaping, right? This narrative can only happen under RCT, is something that's crucially important because you shift them under the opposition side of the house. This is good because it means that we would have another think tank that run on the basic on how do we research and better the earth in itself. It means that Akbar economic arguments OO's economic argument cannot run because on the counterfactual, if you do not have this, there will be a merged new industry and there will be more researchers that can develop into how exactly do we fix the earth. Note to you that the prerequisite is going to be the same, right? This will be people and scientists they already have degree in astronomy, for instances. Therefore, the prerequisite of them having a certain knowledge is still accessible. But under our side, you have we would have another industry to give them economic benefit into, and it will be beneficial under your side, under our side. It's not going to be that way under your side. So I think the economic benefit will be symmetrical under our side. But second, we think that space exploration worsen environment sustainability, right? Because there will be no accountability, there will be no regulation. This is extremely bad, right? Because you create space debris even more, clashing directly with OO's argument, right? Why? Because rockets like Falcon 9 went through thousands of atmospheric explosion in order for them to successfully launch into the space. It ejects 3,000 tons of carbon dioxide into the space that directly damage the ozone, right? I agree that this harm is symmetrical to the states conducted space exploration, but states that already conceded in the debate have lesser incentive to create a space exploration exploration, because due to the fact that they have more interest to everywhere, but second, they have a budget deficit deficit in itself, and thirdly, probably we already tell you that without the existence of this like capitalist tycoon running on the narrative that space exploration is needed to create another Earth, probably if this space journey is conducted, you will be more focused on researching about how exactly do we fix the atmospheric hole, as opposed to give the illusion that you can save the Earth. But in order for you to do that, you kill the people on Earth. In order for you to do that, you create more space debris that will be bad for the people on the ground. But before that, yeah, sure.
Without any sense of arrogancy, if you look into Novet debating seminar, it is a mistake to avoid for forcing them to knife your opening, because you don't have any fiat or political capital to stop any space project, because government and corporations still exist. So environmental harm doesn't exist in your side.
What? Obviously, environmental harm will still exist anyway. And even if we take the worst case scenario, even if the space exploration going to be halted, is perfectly fine. On our side, we don't have the interest to defend space exploration to begin with, right? Okay, but anyway, but thirdly, we think that companies will never be benevolent and humanity oriented, because like if even if it's true that Elon Musk run under the narrative of like saving the Earth and saving the humanity, I think that it's only a grander vision to have like investor fasting into that, right? The reality is that Elon Musk is running on the idea of create space market tourism, right? Tourism accessible to everyone. So we think that it might be good for you to like fly out and go to the moon. This will probably only last for like a week or so. That creates no sensible benefit towards the people on the ground. But obviously, it will not save the humanity. But in the process of you creating this kind of space tourism, you eventually will kill the people on the ground, right? So unnecessary space exploration is something that we do not want under our side. But unnecessary space exploration only happens once you commercialize this kind of space exploration under our side. Even if states do conduct a space exploration, it will be firstly wired exclusively to like humanity, because like I don't think that companies will be that benevolent in itself, right? Because literally creating another Earth for humanity, the profit is not going to be that big, and the benefits going to be so long term. I'm not sure why companies will fast into that. But also under our side, but under our side, I think it will be like way better that like even if the state conducted it, it will be like wired how to save the space, and like how do we save humanity itself. But secondly, at the very least, right, like state conducted space exploration would not literally like commercialize space exploration, instead of creating unnecessary costs towards the humanity on the ground for the sake of humanity. We're so proud to propose.